What's going on YouTube? Cloverbells here, back with another Series 12 team building video, and today we're looking at something that I've wanted to try for a while, Calyrex-Shadow and Kyogre. So this is always a very strong duo technically, right? Because you know, you got the double spread moves, the double spread boys as I like to call them, right? Because you know, we know what Calyrex and Groudon can do, but what about Calyrex and Kyogre? I think this works also relatively well. So not too many things want to switch into a Astro Barrage or a Water Spout / Origin Pulse, right? I think those two moves are busted when they're used at the same time, and there's not a lot of Pokemon that want to take it, and that's why this kind of combination works. Now, there's two ways to try and run it. There's always the hyper offensive way with something like Tailwind support from either a Whimsicott or a Tornadus. Or there's also the slow way with something like a Grimmsnarl, and you know, just speed control elsewhere. So I think we're gonna go the slow route. And the other thing is, you know, the IC is approaching, and by the time this video goes live, I think the IC will have already begun. So what better way to try and use this kind of squad? So it's an interesting concept that came to my mind in terms of what this team can do. But let's just build the team real quick. So we have the Kyogre, we have the Calyrex. Of course, we're gonna go with the Grimmsnarl. I don't know how I can play Pokemon without this thing. It's just so good with your screen support, and you know, the Thunder Waves and Scary Faces, and then you always have the Stab, Spirit Break. It's just a great mod in Series 12. Now from here, we're gonna want some Intimidate and Fake Out support, and Incineroar does that best. This might as well be the third restricted on the team, right? So you know, you need something against Zacian, something against Calyrex Ice, against Calyrex-Shadow, you know, and just being able to Parting Shot and cycle in your disruption moves is always really good. So Incineroar is really good here on a Kyogre and a Calyrex team technically. And then from here, something that's always good on a weather team is something like Zapdos here. So Zapdos, the beauty of this is you're good against opposing Kyogre teams, you're good against opposing Groudon teams. Why? Because you have Stab Hurricane, which is 100% accurate in the rain. You have, you know, Max Lightning or Thunderbolt, which is good against opposing Kyogres and Charizards. And then you have Heat Wave, which is great against Groudon. And Groudon doesn't want to take a Heat Wave in the sun. And it's also good against Zacian as well, because Zacian also doesn't want to take a Life Orb Heat Wave. So Zapdos is really strong against both kinds of weather teams. And you know, you got to have a Max Airstream user on the team. You know, it just that little bit of extra speed control is very nice. And then to round out the last squad here, so notice how like I kind of like to go with cores when I team build. So we got Incin, we got Kyogre, right? So that's a fire type, and that's a water type. So we need a grass type. So I do like Ferrothorn here, believe it or not. And you know, you always want a steel type on a rain team, and I think Ferrothorn just does the job relatively well. And you know, this is an interesting 6 that came to my mind, because you know, you have the Grimmsnarl for screen support, which Zapdos very much appreciates. If you remember back in like Series 9, there was that team with Grimmsnarl, Zapdos, Heatran, and Porygon 2. So you know, it does relatively well. So that's always nice. And then Ferrothorn always appreciates the bulk, and Calyrex, you know, maybe not as much because you're going to be Sash anyway, but definitely Kyogre. And the idea with this kind of team is because you have leftovers on the Kyogre, you are going to be going with that calm mindset. And what you can do is with the Ferrothorn, you can Dynamax it now and go for those Steel Spikes and boost up your Kyogre while Kyogre is going for calm minds. And then Kyogre starts hitting like a truck while staying bulky behind screens and extra defense Steel Spikes, right? So that's the team. So now let's just go ahead and hash out the rest of the items, EVs, and movesets. Alright, so before we actually hash out all the EVs, items, and movesets, what I do want to do is reveal the GIFs real quick. So there's the Ferrothorn, there's the Grimmsnarl, there's the Incineroar, and there's the Zapdos. Okay, so now what we want to try and do with the Kyogre here is, again, we're going to go with Origin Pulse, believe it or not, Ice Beam, and like I said, Calm Mind and Protect, right? So the idea here is you're giving up Water Spout because you don't really need it, because you're going to be taking and soaking up damage with your Kyogre, and because of that, you're not really going to be at full health all the time. So you're going to be going for those hard-hitting Origin Pulses. Now, they're not as accurate, but that's okay, because, you know, just don't miss. If you're a good player, you don't miss. and then you could always Dynamax this. And the idea here is with Kyogre, like I explained it earlier, you're trying to become that end game option where you can alternate your protects and calm minds and just recover health over time. And then finally, when you're all set up, you go for those +1, +2 Origin Pulses and Ice Beams that hit like an absolute truck. All right, so Calyrex here, this is going to be Focus Sash. All right, and we're going to go with Astral Barrage, Psych Shock for our stab move. Okay, and then I'll leave the third move blank because I want to save it when we get to the Ferrothorn. But this is our standard set here. Grimmsnarl, of course, we want to be the Light Clay set. You know, it's just so good. Spirit Break, Light Screen, Reflect, and Thunder Wave. So really, really standard Grimmsnarl set. Again, you got that speed control with Thunder Wave and the Power Hacks that could potentially help you later on. And Spirit Break is really, really strong against, you know, stuff like Palkia and stuff like Yveltal, and just other special attackers in general. So I think it's really, really nice. And then from here, you have the Incineroar with safety goggles, so just extra security against those sun teams if you really need it. If you want the berry here, you can definitely go for it, but Flare Blitz and Fake Out is relatively standard. Parting Shot is good, and of course Throat Chop. Now again, people have asked me in some other videos, why do you go Throat Chop instead of Darkest Area? I thought that was made clear back in like Series 11, but I'll repeat it again. Just to clarify, the Throat Chop stops sound moves, right? So you stop Snarl and you stop Parting Shot from opposing Incineroar. So you can't let them cycle in and out. That's just not good. But if you can go find the opportunity and go for the Throat Chop, you stop them and you force them to stay in, and then Kyogre can just go for like something like a Water Spout, for example. So, you know, that's why you run Throat Chop, okay? And now from here, we want the Zapdos. So this is going to be our hard-hitting Zapdos with the Life Orb set. Thunderbolt for our consistent electric move. You can go Thunder here, but I want to be able to use an electric move that's accurate, that's not in the rain. Hurricane, which is 100% accurate in the rain. Heat Wave for those annoying steel types, and very, very good against opposing sun teams. And then Protect. Alright, now for Ferrothorn, this is going to be the Assault Vest Ferrothorn build, right? So we're going to be an offensive Ferrothorn, a strong Dynamax option, Gyro Ball for Max Steelspike, Power Whip, you know, just really good against opposing Kyogres and opposing Blastoises, opposing Gastrodons and Seismitoads. Things that don't want to take a grass move have to take a grass move. All right. Then from here we have Knockoff, which is actually a really nice tech. Not only is it good against opposing Calyrex-Shadow Riders, but when you Dynamax the Ferrothorn and you go for Max Darkness, that just makes your Calyrex and your Kyogre hit way harder. And you know, if you have a sash on this thing, you're not doing as much damage without the Life Orb. So if you can get those special defense drops, Calyrex can come in the end game when Trick Room is gone and then just wipe the floor with you know, Astral Barrage. And same thing with Kyogre. All right, and then finally here we have the Body Press. You know, just being able to, you can always go for like Max Knuckles just to make your Ferrothorn hit harder with these two moves, or these three moves I should say. And then when Dynamax is gone, when you already gotten your Steel Spike boost, then you can go for +1 or +2 body presses into stuff like Incineroar if Trick Room is up, and then potentially, you know, deal some big damage or even KO them. So now I said I wanted to keep this one a secret, but I think I spoiled it by accident, and this is going to be Trick Room Calyrex-Shadow Rider. I think it's amazing on this kind of team, especially because you're going to be a slow Kyogre and your Ferrothorn is already one of the slowest Pokemon in the entire game. So you can really throw your opponent off guard if you go with the Trick Room route on your Calyrex-Shadow Rider. So, you know, this is the team. This is the 6. So now let's just go ahead and do the EVs. Okay, so with the EVs with the Kyogre, again, what we really want to focus on is just being able to outspeed certain base speed 100 mons. Now, you can go 112, so after +1, you outspeed, you know, stuff like Charizard and opposing Zapdos. But I think we want to go a little bit faster just to outspeed those speed creepers. So 115 is a relatively good benchmark here. Of course, we're going to go modest. We want to be a hard-hitting Kyogre, but we're only going to be going first EV bump in the special attack department, right? So only 76 investment, right? So 196 with 68 investment, one more bump. beep, 198. You skip the 197. And again, I always like to say, look, if you don't know what EV bumps are, you gotta know what they are if you want to play competitive Pokemon. So if at this point you still don't know what EV bumps are, comment in the video and I will explain what EV bumps are. I ask this every other video and people always ask me what are EV bumps anyway, but you know, I showed it in the video, but apparently you like my written explanations a little bit more, so let's just go with that. So ask me if you don't know what an EV bump is, and then from here we just want to go, you know, max HP, be a very bulky Kyogre, and the rest will just go into defense, right? Because you're going to be going for Calm Mind setups anyway. You have the screens and you have Intimidate, so you're a very bulky Kyogre in the end game, especially if you can go for these Calm Minds. And it only works on this kind of team where you can boost its defenses with the Ferrothorn, alright? Or something like a Dialga or a Solgaleo. That's the only time where something like Calm Mind Kyogre works. You can't just slap it on a Tornadus team and go Calm Mind setup. No, that's not how you want to make it work. In that case, you might as well just go Mystic Water and, you know, a faster Kyogre. But in this kind of team with Trick Room and stuff, you want to go Calm Mind. Alright, Calyrex, there's just nothing special here. This is just a 252-252 spread. We are a Focus Sash Calyrex-Shadow Rider, so there's really nothing else to it. The Grimmsnarl here, we're just going to keep going with our normal Grimmsnarl spread here. Careful Natured, second EV bump in the Special Defense department. There it is, the 121 mark. 82, and then a little bit of attack, and then 156 defense, because with this kind of investment with the HP, you survive Zacian Behemoth Blade with Reflect and after an Intimidate, right? So that's the whole point there. Now, Instant. So there's two kinds of spreads I like to give people. You could go with my faster Incineroar spread where you're going first EV bump in the special defense, and you have the Grimmsnarl here to add even more bulk to your Incineroar. And then just this much, you know, where you can survive the Zacian close combat after an Intimidate, and then 95 speed Incineroar just so that you are a faster Incineroar. And it's good to have a fast Incineroar, right? Especially in Trick Room, right? Because one, your Fake Out goes first. Two, your parting shot goes last, so this way if they go for their parting shot and then swap into their Zacian, then your parting shot goes next, and then you parting shot their Zacian, and then you bring in whatever else you want to bring in. So your parting shot is very advantageous in Trick Room if you are a faster Incineroar, okay? And then lastly, you can just go for like a faster Throat Chop in general that's not in Trick Room, and then you stop them from cycling. So those are three reasons why you want to run a faster Incineroar. But if you want a bulkier Incineroar, then you go with the one that I've been using lately. You do it like this, 84, and then just go second EV bump in the special defense department. And then this is more than adequate Incineroar. You still live the Zacian Behemoth Blade, and now you have a bulkier special defense and defense because you have the Grimmsnarl spread as well. So that's our bulky Incin. Zapdos, again, Life Orb optimization. You know I like to do this with my Life Orb mons. Just max speed in general, just a tiny bit of bulk and defense and special defense, and then the rest can just go into special attack. And of course, we are going to be timid nature, just so that at the very least we can speed tie those Entei, those Charizards, and those Regielekis if the situation comes up. Ferrothorn here, just being brave, you know, just being an absolute menace in Trick Room, especially, you know, you have those hard-hitting Gyro Balls. And then from here you just want a tiny bit of special defense. I want that even number just because, you know, you get the best bang for your buck with the Assault Vest because it's multiplied by 1.5, and if it's an odd number you get a decimal and it rounds it down, right? Because that's how Pokemon works. So you don't want your defenses to be rounded down, so that's why you want a whole number, which in this case you need an even number if you want to get that nice whole number if you multiply by 1.5. Right, so that's the team. I think it's very solid for what it can do, and now what I want to do is showcase it in some battles. Here's the Pokepaste for it. I'll show it again at the end when we do a final recap. And with the battles, you know, I did misplay a little bit because I was still trying to learn and figure out the team, but we still were able to win a lot of those games. So I just might as well just show you how the team works with those sample battles. This is my team. This is someone using my Entei Solgaleo Kyogre team. So basically, I've run into a couple of people using my squads on ladder sometimes, and I've never lost. I'm the creator of my teams. I can't lose to my own teams. So the Grimmsnarl on this team has Sucker Punch. The Entei has, Bulldoze, Sacred Fire, Extreme Speed, and Snarl. The Kyogre is very fast, and so is the Solgaleo. But I feel like Zapdos kind of runs through a lot of what he has just because, you have the electric move, for the Kyogre and the Tornadus. You have the Airstream for the Rillaboom. And then, you know, you even have the Max Flare for the Solgaleo after its Dynamax is gone. So a lot of things Zapdos can do well, and then Kyogre, and then Kyogre and Calyrex can just do the job from the back. So he goes with Grimmsnarl, Solgaleo. So a lot of things he could do here. He could set up screens. He can Sucker Punch his own Solgaleo and get the policy going. I'm just going to try and get rid of the Grimmsnarl as soon as possible. Alright, I go with the Thunder Wave to try and get some Para Hacks on the Solgaleo. I don't get it because he goes with the Steel Spike. He removes the Grimmsnarl. But that's okay because now I can go into my Kyogre here. And he goes into his own Kyogre. I have no idea why he did this. I could have easily Max Lightning into the Grimmsnarl slot and removed it. But there's my Origin Pulse. And now I would imagine he goes for my own tech, my Max Lightning. And because we're bulky and he has no policy, we actually live it. So now here's the Grimmsnarl yet again. I'm just going to protect here. And there's the Sucker Punch. He actually doesn't go for the Kyogre. Which I thought he should have. Because, you know... the fact that he lets it live is actually a mistake. So there's the Max Lightning. He goes for the Zapdos. But again, Zapdos took out 2 Mons, which is all I really needed it for it to do. Because now here's the Entei, but Kyogre is faster than all these things. I thought he would E-speed the Zapdos, but he went for the Kyogre. I don't know why he did that. And now we basically just win the game from here because we have the Calyrex in the back that can click Astro Barrage. And we still have the Zapdos alive. Again, he can always E-speed the Zapdos. But he actually doesn't even E-speed the Zapdos. Why? I don't know. He just gives me the game from here. And there's the Astro Barrage. And yeah, now we just won the game. So, you know, he tried his best. I don't know why he didn't E-speed the Zapdos. I thought he could have given himself a chance there. I thought the Entei could have maybe lived with the Assault Vest and the Light Screen. But again, I'm Focus Sash, so I don't think there's anything he could have done. But yeah, that was just game. Okay, so this is a Sun team, right? And this is another game where Zapdos can do really, really well because you have the Heat Wave for the Groudon, the Venusaur, and the Whimsicott. You have Airstream for those 2 Mons as well. And you just have to be aware of the Thundurus, right? But there's the Whimsicott, and he actually just leads the Thundurus, right? So here's my Zapdos, here's the Calyrex. My idea here is to go for Heat Wave and just get up the Trick Room because I think he's going to go Tailwind. Alright, but he actually goes for the taunt on the Whimsicott. I have no idea why he taunted the Zapdos. That's very weird to me. He goes for the Darkness into the Calyrex. I mean, that's fine. I go for the Trick Room, but first let me get off my Heat Wave. I get no burn on the Thundurus, and it's actually eject button Whimsicott. I don't know why people run that thing on Whimsicott. But anyway, there's the Trick Room. So he gets rid of the Calyrex, which I'm fine with because now I can just swap into my, I believe it's my Kyogre. And look how much damage Groudon took from the Heat Wave. Zapdos is just putting in absolute work. Alright, now here's the Kyogre. Okay, now here's the situation. I know Origin Pulse will kill the Groudon, but I don't know if I don't think the Origin Pulse kills the Thundurus, and I don't know if a Thunderbolt plus an Origin Pulse kills the Thundurus. I don't know if it does. So rather than take the risk, I chose to Dynamax the Kyogre here. So he goes for Rock Slide. Alright, he misses my Kyogre, which is fine. I get rid of the Thundurus. I thought I did, but he actually lived because it's AV. And there's the +1 Max Lightning, but because we are bulky, we do live it. I'm surprised that Thundurus actually lived that, so that's very interesting. But anyway, we're still okay because still 2 turns of Trick Room are up. And what we can do is just fake out the Eternatus and then just get rid of the Thundurus here. So this way we can not deal with its annoyingness. And there's the Whimsicott. And, you know, what I could have actually done was, you could argue maybe I could have faked out that thing, the Thundurus, and then go for the Eternatus kill. But I don't think I would have killed the Eternatus with a Max Hailstorm at this point. So I just wanted to fake that out and just get rid of the Thundurus. So he goes for the Switcheroo. I don't know why he did this. But there's the Hailstorm into the Eternatus. That's so much damage. And now Instant just wins the game because there's no move that he has that can kill me. The crit Dynamax cannon could have maybe done it, but again, not so lucky there. And there's the win. This is a weird one, right? It's Zekrom and Reshiram. I don't know why people run this. I think they just want to have fun. But I did misplay this a little bit, and it almost cost me. But I decided to go with yet a Kyogre and a Calyrex-Shadow time. So I'm going to go for my Trick Room route. But here's the Rotom, here's the Reshiram. I'm going to go for a straight up Calm Mind because there's not too much these things can do. He goes to the raw Draco Meteor. I thought if he Dynamax or Thunderbolt the Kyogre, he could have removed it right then and there. But he goes for the E-Webs, which is very interesting. Because now I can just go for my Trick Room and be even slower. Now the thing is, he made my Calyrex -1 speed, but I think I'm still faster than the Reshiram, right? So by that logic, you know, I'm faster than the Rotom, but not quite faster than the Reshiram. So, you know, I'm just going to swap into my Ferrothorn right here, right now. He actually clicks Protect. And there's an Origin Pulse into the Rotom. That does great damage, honestly. And I thought he wouldn't Thunderbolt, but I guess he doesn't have Thunderbolt. He's just making my things a little bit slower. Calyrex would have lived that, and I would have just went another Astral Barrage next turn. But here we go. I'm going to max the Ferrothorn. Here's the Overgrowth just to remove the Rotom. And my Origin Pulse does miss. Now, this was incorrect by me. I should have just Ice Beamed this slot, because a +1 Ice Beam into Reshiram still does good damage. And even if he switches it out into something like a Zekrom, it would have probably just maybe one-shot it, if anything. So that was my mistake. And because of that, it almost cost me the game. And now here comes the Rillaboom, which is actually okay. As soon as the animation. Alright, so there's the Rillaboom. Now, I did swap the Kyogre here into Incineroar. I think this was actually incorrect at the moment. I think I could have just protected the Kyogre and then, you know, switched it out next turn. But I was afraid that the Zekrom would, you know, go for the Max Electric move, and it might have killed through Protect. I wasn't sure, but I just swapped in the Incineroar anyway. So there's a Grassy Glide. That's fine. There's the Steel Spike. I do good chip damage into the Rillaboom. And there's the Lightning into Ferrothorn. Again, that's fine. There's a Knuckle into Rillaboom. I probably should have just Steel Spiked again. And, you know, probably just deal more damage into Rillaboom. But there's a high horsepower. Yeah, see, this was not good. This is a mistake. These last two turns by me. And then this is what I mean by I actually misplayed this. So the Trick Room is gone. So I just Intimidate cycled the Rillaboom and Zekrom. But he has a Reshiram in the back, which is bothering me because I have a Ferrothorn. But anyway, my Instance tanking hits like a monster here. So we get rid of the Rillaboom, but that wasn't really the threat. So we removed the Zekrom's Magnet. That's crazy. He had Magnet. So, you know, now here's the Reshiram. So he just gets rid of my Instant. And if he hit this Blue Flare, he probably just wins the game, but he actually misses. And there's a Body Press, so there's more chip damage. But again, you know, all I can really hope for is a potential misplay. And he goes into the Calyrex there. Goes Earth Power instead of Blue Flare. I don't know why he did that. Because now that the Reshiram is going to get eliminated with the Astral Barrage, now we just win the game. He actually misses the Bolt Strike, which is kind of funny. But yeah, so I missed my Origin Pulse. He misses the Blue Flare. I'll take it. I think it's even. So we'll take that dub, even though I didn't play that as well as I should have. Okay, this was an interesting one. This is Calyrex Zacian with Whimsicott. So I just go with my Incin and my Calyrex here just to try and intimidate something. I know he has the Thundurus here. So we intimidate the Landorus, but now the Thundurus can just run rampant here. But he's actually Prankster Thundurus. So I just go into my Ferrothorn. He goes Protect here. And there's the T-Wave, which is actually fine. But it's not because he gets the Para. I was going for Trick Room here. And he Eerie Impulses the Calyrex, but again, this is fine because I'm not trying to do damage with the Calyrex. I'm just trying to set up my Trick Room. And we do finally get it. So now I just go for the Max Darkness into the Thundurus, which is great damage here. Enough for the Calyrex can finish the job, but again, I get the Para Hacks. So that's twice I get parried. There's the Thunderbolt here, and he just clicks Fly. So more damage into the Thundurus. Okay, and we do kill it. So there's that. So now my Calyrex is +1. Alright, well, it's still technically -1. He went for Fly into the Ferrothorn. I don't know why he did that. He just killed himself. So then he goes into his own Calyrex, his own Zacian. There's still 2 turns of Trick Room. My Calyrex has the advantage. He maxes his own Calyrex now. So this is another misplay. I went for the Zacian. I probably should have went for this thing, knockoff. Just to deal big damage into it and then go for the Astral Barrage because now I think he just lives. Yeah, see, this was a big misplay. I should have just went into the Calyrex because that was his Dynamax option. And Sacred Sword just removes the Zacian here. And then there's that Max Phantasm. So, I don't know. I feel like I had a pretty good chance here if I didn't get Paras twice. But, you know, that is the advantage of Thunder Wave here. So there's the Protect. I knew that was coming. And there's the Max Guard. So he stalls my last turn of Trick Room. You know, I probably could have Calm Minded here, honestly. That was another thing I could have considered. But he gets the crit in the Phantasm, so he kills my Kyogre anyway. He was +1 regardless. And then there's the Sacred Sword. I choose to remove the Calyrex. I probably should have just removed the Zacian, but I probably would have just died anyway next turn, no matter what. But yeah, the crit and the 2 paras really hurt. But I thought we did what we had to do. We were in a good spot, we just got parried. Alright, last one. So this is Palkia Zacian with Amoonguss and the 2 genies again. So, again, Zapdos looks really strong into this just because we can hit a lot of things for super effective and or neutral. So he Dynamaxes the Palkia, which is fine. This is the Grimmsnarl game that we've been waiting for. There's the Airstream. I thought he might have the Landorus in the back, but because he took this Airstream, that means maybe he might not have brought the Landorus. But again, here's the Geyser into the Zapdos. Does a lot. But he's actually not Life Orb, so that's also okay. And he just gives me a free Spirit Break into Palkia. So there's the Snarl from the Suicune, and this is where I went for the Max Lightning, and this is where he baited me. So I should have just kept going for Airstream. I mean, if he should have just did this the first turn. I don't know why he waited, but I guess he wanted the Snarl off. So he gets rid of my Zapdos, but that's okay because now here comes my Kyogre. Landorus clicks Protect. I click Thunder Wave on the Palkia, and then this is where I go for my Calm Mind setups. And there's the Max Flare just to change the weather, I guess. That's very interesting. Alright, Landorus goes for the Earthquake. I probably could have protected this turn, and then should have just, you know, not taken so much damage on my Kyogre, but I did want to remove the Palkia ASAP. Alright. And because the Landorus did, so now I'm anticipating a Protect Zacian and Earthquake Landorus. So this is why I protect my Kyogre, and then I just go for a simple Reflect on the Grimmsnarl. And then again, this is where I'm adding my bulk for my potential endgame. All right, he removes my Grimmsnarl, but that's okay. I got my Reflect, I got my Light Screen up. All right, and now I have my Incin. So now all of these are doing less damage. So he switches out into Suicune. I figured he might do this, so this is why I went for another greedy Calm Mind setup. So now I'm +2. Alright, but again, this doesn't kill the Suicune. He goes for Rock Slide, he misses the Kyogre, gets my Incin. But again, my Incin's very bulky, and he's also just clicking stuff in the sun. Another Calm Mind setup from the Kyogre though, so my Kyogre's +3. And again, he's just going for the flinch hacks here. He doesn't get it because my Kyogre does actually get this Origin Pulse off. So there it is, we removed the Landorus. And my Incin gets flinched, so, you know, no Parting Shot, no Throat Chop to kill the Suicune. But that's okay, because look how bulky our Kyogre is. We take a Play Rough from a Zacian, +1 might I add, and then boom, we just kill everything with an Origin Pulse. So this is the advantage of Calm Mind Kyogre. You get the screens up, you set up your Calm Minds, and then you just sweep them. Alright, perfect way to show off that kind of team in this battle. So yeah, that's the team. I mean, it functions very, very well. You got the screens support from the Grimmsnarl and the Intimidate and Parting Shot and Fake Out support from Incineroar. You have the Zapdos for, you know, fast mode with Airstreams with your Calyrex-Shadow Rider. You have the slow mode with the Trick Room out with the Ferrothorn, and then the slower Kyogre can also take advantage of Trick Room. And then overall, just a very, very solid team. You know, you can max the Zapdos, the Ferrothorn, or the Kyogre. The Calyrex doesn't really max. You can max if you want, but you know, not advisable with this Focus Sash. But overall, just a very bulky, solid team that can work very well either in the IC or even on ladder. So let me know what you think of this Kyogre Calyrex squad. If you want the hyper offensive HO version with stuff like Regieleki and Tornadus with Kyogre and Calyrex, let me know if you want that version. I'll make a team with that. But you know, not my kind of playstyle. I prefer this. So let me know what you think, and until next time, we'll be back with another Series 12 video. Have a good one.